Hello everyone, welcome back. Now, of course, we're no longer Aluminum Tarot. This has been done for personal reasons. I wanted to give this channel a name of something that resonates a little bit more with what I'm trying to achieve and accomplish. So therefore, I've decided to rebrand. I've even changed the little icon on the side, so that way you can see what it kind of means. I'll go into more detail about that in a little bit of a later post. But we're going to just go into this as Crucible Tarot. Welcome, and I hope you enjoy this reading. If you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And yeah, we're going to start reading for the sign of Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising for the month of June 2024. This is basically like, if you see this message, this is the message that you need to understand at the moment. It's not going to be for the month of June. It's not going to be for blah, blah, blah. It's just a spiritual message that if it resonates with you, this is the kind of lesson that you would like to or need to learn from Spirit. Yeah, I probably should just remind people that if you see people impersonating my channel or any other channels around on the YouTube, interwebs, it's better for you to block or report them, especially if they're trying to solicit readings, because of course this ruins the business of people who are working, day and night to earn a living on this, on YouTube with whatever they do. It's gotten pretty bad across the internet and across YouTube and across even other social media platforms where people steal content and then put it on their own. So yeah, block, report them, and don't give them the money. Always go directly to the source of the person that you're looking to solicit. And that's it. Yeah. Let's go ahead and begin. So for this reading, I have 3 separate decks that I'll be channeling for this time. The first one is one of my favorites, absolute golden deck here. It's the Angelarium Oracle of Emanations by Peter Moorbacher. Yeah, that's his name. Right. Making sure I'm getting it right, because meine Deutsch ist sehr schlecht, aber I will try to pronounce it as best as possible. The next one is a very popular one around the internet. It's the Moonology. This is Yasmin Baland, who has created that deck, and that's another Oracle deck. And then I wanted to share a very special one with you, is the Warrior of Love Tarot. Now, the author of this deck is named Luna Marie, and I had the pleasure of meeting her in London at Watkins Books, which is probably one of the world's most esteemed kind of occult bookshops. So if you're ever in London, you can go there on holiday, or you're just passing through. It's going to be somewhere around the Strand kind of area, very, very close to central London, Piccadilly Circus area. So if you're ever in that particular part on your journey, always stop by Watkins Books. It's a very, very beautiful store, one of my faves. They've got a massive selection of tarot card decks that you can look at, and very, very old ancient manuscripts as well. There's another one in that area that I really enjoy going to. I think it's the Aquarian bookshop. It's the one that's right next to Holborn. So yeah, I'll make sure I get that right a bit later on. But on with the show. So we're going to be looking at your first card. So for you, Sagittarius, you have Fanil, and this is the Angel of Truth. This is connected deeply with the second sphere in the Tree of Life, which I believe is Chokhmah, which is about truth. This is truth, the way it is orchestrated by the divine, rather than Binah, which is normally knowledge that is acquired through empirical experience. So don't quote me on that, but look for yourself to make sure I've got that correct. So anyways, when we look at Fanil, we see that he's got this this flame here, and that is the flame of wisdom. You oftentimes will see that in other kinds of emanations as well. I know that Eliphas Levi, he was one of the people who created the Baphomet in the Rituel de Haute Magique. I think that was the name of the book, where he's talking a lot about the symbol that he had created, which was a very hermetic symbol. And one of those symbols is the flame on top of the head of the creature. And the creature is not necessarily this evil demon or something like that, or so on. What it is a representation of the unification of opposites. Male, female, masculine, feminine, intellectual and beastly, so instinctual, spiritual and material. So there's a lot in that symbol that I can go into a bit later on. I could spend an entire 20 minutes just rambling about that. So I'll probably do that a bit later on. But with that, with Fanyu, we oftentimes talk about this flame, which is typically granted to people by the divine, is the divine spark, the divine flame that lights the pathway forward. And you can actually see that light almost like it's above the head of the emanation here. And that emanation is actually, that kind of represents the crown chakra. So when you look at the different chakras, you have your crown chakra, you have your third eye, you have your throat, you then have your heart, then your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, and then your root chakra at the very bottom of your feet. And those have different correlations to different parts of the sphere of the tree of life. Of course, this one being the highest one, which is the divine one granting you its illumination top down. It's you receiving downloads, and it's you being able to understand truths of the matter external to your own empirical experiences, truths as they are laid out within the divine. And that is a very interesting way of looking at it, because you can actually see, like Fanio, he is actually meditating. Look at his poses, and you can see here that he's got different poses with his hands, and he's got almost like serpents running around his shoulders. So if you're squeamish about serpents, that's one thing, but the serpents are almost indicative of this divine knowledge, this energy, this ka, as they called it back in ancient Egypt, which was circulating through material space and divine space. So within the nominal and nominal realms, it's ka that's actually the serpent that goes between the worlds. And it's also seen as Kundalini in Indian, in the Indian pantheon of deities, where it's talking about the energy that is needed to go and kind of circulate between all the different chakras to bring about the crown chakra, which is then going to emanate. So when you meditate, this is something I did not too long ago, you're meditating and you imagine everything coming from, you can either do it from the ground up or going downwards, but I normally do it from the ground up, going from the root chakra to the sacral chakra to the solar plexus, all the way up to the crown chakra, and then emanating back down. So that circulates the Kundalini energy, the raw energy as well, raw, if you want to say it. But those are what the serpents are really about. So how this relates to you, what you're going to be seeing is that you are in touch and rooted in the truth for this moment. You will be receiving downloads. You will be closer to the flame of wisdom, and not simply just knowledge, but the flame of wisdom, which lights your pathway forward. So things may be becoming clearer to you as you receive these downloads, and it's going to allow you to feel not just at peace, but at rest. You're getting in touch with your inner self, you're getting in touch with the external world, and you're finally going to be able to yoke those two things. You're going to be able to yoke the microcosm, which is you, to the macrocosm, which is spirit. And for this month, it feels like things are coming to a a period of homeostasis in many ways. Maybe things that were unclear to you, the light of truth is going to light your way to move forward and allow for you to perceive and to understand precisely the best way forward. If you have certain plans that you need to make, if you have hidden enemies, those enemies will be brought to light, and other things that this could apply to you. So look at it as an algorithm, as I always say. You have your own life program. So that is why I always make that distinction when it comes to reading the tarot. So in the oracle of the Moonology, we have this one. Your hard work is paying off. New moon in Capricorn. So if you've been working really hard over the last few weeks, months, or so on, Capricorn is normally a period of slow and steady progress towards the top. So if you're at the top of your game, if you've been working really hard and demonstrating that your efforts have been methodical, patient, and additionally precise, that is what the Capricorn represents here. So coming into the new moon, that is what this will insinuate for you. So for your job, you might be reaching the crux of a new age in which you are demonstrating to your boss and your superiors that you are fully capable of the work that you're doing. And additionally, if you have been working hard towards something else, building a project, working on a relationship, that work is not going unnoticed, not just by your superiors and colleagues, but also by the divine itself. Because action speaks louder than words, and action is really the language that the universe understands as well, because you can say a lot that you want to, but in the end, if you don't take action on specific things, especially when the divine is calling you to do them, that is when you're going to find that you miss out on some of the most important blessings of your life. Of course, the action needs to be guided by truth. So these two oracle cards together are going to be kind of the guiding force that lights your pathway forward. Now, going into this, Sagittarius, recent past, or at least the first set of first set of cards that come out, death. So we have this lovely Dia de los Muertos kind of mask here. See if I can get it to focus. There we go. And we can see that the woman in this was a representative of death. She's wearing her long hair downwards, or at least that's maybe a veil or something. But she's also got these colorful roses, which tell us that, in death there is life, and in life there is death. The rose is a symbol of peace, and many times, especially when we look at different mythologies or symbolisms around the world, especially in the UK, the rose is a symbol of peace, especially when you had the War of the Roses. They combined the House of Lancaster and the House of York to become the House of, I believe it was the House of Tudor. And so eventually that was a reconciliation between the two houses to finally have a stable house that could govern the rest of the British, the British Isles. And so in doing so, the rose is symbolic. It opens up when the time is right. It's almost like opening a specific type of chakra. When things begin to blossom, out of death, new things begin to blossom. And I am very familiar with the energy of death, having my Black Moon Lilith in the first house, 0 degrees my ascendant, meaning that there are very, very strong energies of working with the shadow self and being able to overcome the shadow self, but also integrate with the shadow self, making it so that you are not pushing it away, but actually authenticating yourself through the process of individuation. And again, long tirade I could go off about Black Moon Lilith. And I do understand that people see it in different ways. I see it specifically as an energy where you are forced to confront all of the shameful things that you have felt in the past, any type of bullying, any type of imbalance of power. And since it is a Martian energy, if it is in the ascendant or close to the ascendant or the first house, I oftentimes get a lot of my readings say that I get very Aries or Scorpionic energy in there as well. So it tends to color your ascendant with a kind of darker, watery Martian energy. So that's a little tidbit that I'll leave you with that about that specific energy. With death in your specific life, what we're looking at is the ending or the cessation of something. And it is because of this, Page of Swords. You may have felt that in your life that you have been kind of sat on the sidelines of everything that's been taking place. And whilst you have been learning a lot about yourself, about other people, it seems like a very vicarious approach to life. And this is now ending. So the death is taking place because, and this is how I read it algorithmically, this because of clarification. This is taking place, you're experiencing the end of a specific period because of this Page of Swords energy. So you may have kind of been like slightly in hermit energy. This is not really a kind of card that tells us that you're interacting with a lot of people. This is more about study, observation. So if you've been in a period, a long period especially, of observation, you are likely to have felt rather isolated or ostracized in many ways. So with that, that is coming to an end, and you're moving into the energy indicated in the middle, in the present energy. So this is the Knight of Cups. And what we have here is this horse, seahorse actually, guy next to it. I don't know, could be Aquaman, could not. But what we're looking at, he's holding up, it looks like some kind of lotus, if I'm not mistaken, but it's another kind of flower that we're looking at. And the lotuses normally exist in the water. What the water does, it allows for the lotus to gain sustenance from the riverbed. And oftentimes lotuses will exist in dirty water or muddy water, and that's how it pulls the nutrients it needs to kind of receive that information. Now, what we're looking at with the Knight of Cups, we then start to, sorry, here's some people outside. With the Knight of Cups, knights represent movement. And with this knight, we are moving towards something that is emotionally fulfilling. When we move towards something that is emotionally fulfilling, it could be multiple things, projects that really resonate with you. It could be communicating or taking action towards someone of a love interest, moving towards a community of people that would be, that resonate a lot more with you, rather than being in kind of like the hood or the projects, or, like a really shit neighborhood. And finally moving into a place where things are much more smooth and flowing and resonating. The reason why we have the Knight of Cups is because we have the Two of Pentacles. As you notice here with this deck, we have correspondences. We have planetary correspondences with houses. So you see the Jupiter in Capricorn. So it's the expansion of material things that are taking place in your life. It's about being adaptable, of course, but also expanding and creating more. So when you go from the Ace of Pentacles, you have something that you can run with. A loan, a new job, a big payout, something that you can use to better yourself down the road. However, when it goes to the Two of Pentacles, you are then juggling and adapting that until you can get to the Three of Pentacles. When you get to the Three of Pentacles, that's when you're actually working with people in order to realize this and to make this thing pay off a bit more. So that's how you start to expand that. So once it gets to the Three, that's when it's going to become way, way more conducive. But Jupiter in Capricorn, that's when you're learning how to expand your ability to manage that. Because we do have the new moon in Capricorn, it's starting out at the very beginning of this entire process, but you are building it until you can get to the Three of Pentacles, which may be more like Jupiter in Virgo or Jupiter in Taurus kind of energy. Now, what this tells us together is that because you have been doing things that have been paying off on your material level, you are now slowly making progress towards something that is emotionally fulfilling. Take, for example, how this can resonate. You've been in the gym, you've been working out, you've been slimming down, you've been getting in shape. Now you're starting to notice the attention of people around you. You've been working your butt off at work, and you've now decided that, you know, you've been able to save up money, you've been able to put away money towards something that is going to be really good for you in the future, like down payment on a car, down payment on a house, something of that nature. You could also notice that because of the adaptability you've shown at work, you're now starting to move into higher positions of power. You're networking with people within your job. You're forming a solid bond with some people, even those people who are higher up. So those are ways that can kind of resonate. Moving forward, we then start to see where you're coming in the future. And this is the Lovers. Beautiful card for you to have in the near future. Not only is it a decision, but it's something you decide to do that fully resonates with you. So if it's a love relationship, you're going to find someone that just ticks all the boxes. That's what I'm getting in my head. It strongly resonates with your energy, what you desire, and what you are moving towards. The reason for this, you get the Lovers card because of the Magician. As we were talking about before, you have been working hard to materialize and to manifest these things in your life that have been kind of like your long-term goals. So maybe you'll be getting that dream home. Maybe you'll be finding the right, person to spend your life with, somebody who's going to be a bit more solid and dedicated rather than just kind of a fly-by-night connection. You want to make sure that these things are going to be permanent and long-lasting, because with the moon in Capricorn is not some fly-by-night energy. It's something that you can look towards that is going to really be solid. Capricorn is a very solid foundation and something very public. So it's not going to be like somebody that I'm trying not to say anything too vulgar, but yeah, somebody you're not just going to like smash with 2 o'clock in the morning because, you're bored. It's going to be someone that you think about putting a ring on their finger or dating long-term and so on and so on. Now, that said, with the Magician there, we notice that we have this energy here. This is related to Mercury, as they say here. Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo, so those are the two correspondences with Magician. So this could be a Virgo, could be a Gemini that you are linking up with. If it's a love relationship, you may have those energies in your chart. Lovers also shows Gemini here as well. So you have two cards which talk about Gemini energy. And we're in the season of Gemini. So if you just so happen to meet a Gemini that resonates with you strongly, that would be a love relationship. Otherwise, you could get into a field of communications. You might be in the field of communications, or you might be in the field of something very creative that you have been working really hard towards. So it could manifest a lot of different ways. Now, towards the end of this, we have, for the outcome, 7 of Pentacles, which is a very interesting deck here, a very interesting card here, clarified by the Star. A wish is being fulfilled. Now you're trying to decide whether or not you're going to invest in this, or whether or not this is going to be for the long haul, because you have one of two ways you can go. when you are at the Seven of Pentacles, you're in a period of reflection. And oftentimes, sevens can be a period of reflection as they're related to Neptune. Neptune is very reflective energy, is also one that is connected also to the Hangman as well. So when we are looking at this, we look at, in your material world, you are finally able to reflect on all the progress that you've made. You have one of two choices. You can either go back to the Six of Pentacles and try to gain more things from other people, or you can go straight to the Eight of Pentacles and then work really hard on this. So it's really up to you which direction you want to take, but it does seem like a wish is being fulfilled. Now with the Star card, you do notice that this is the guiding star, true north. This is oftentimes a card that speaks about Aquarian energy, which actually comes after Capricorn. But additionally, it comes after the Tower. So if you've faced any difficult situations or circumstances in your past where you have kind of lost out on a lot, whether it was losing a job, losing a relationship, losing a sense of self, moving, all of these things that can end to begin, phases in your life, then the Star card is going to guide you towards that. And it can be a wish fulfillment because, when you wish upon a star. I think that the way this is all working out here, I see that you are finally reaching the apex of a specific desire, a goal in your life, where things are working out, life is smooth, you're no longer worrying about things being, removed from your life. You're finally getting to a place where you yourself might be coming to the fore, because the Star is about being very public as well. And I think we did manage to speak about that with Capricorn, but with the Star, it's way more different. Of course, the stars are people in, they can be celebrities, cele, which is the prefix for star in, the English language. That's where we get the word celestial from. Celebrities is kind of a derivative of that word. And potentially you could become a celebrity. So it's really up to how this energy is going to play out over the month of June. Hopefully it will pay off and play out quite well for you. So that said, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much. This has been Crucible Tarot. If you like what you see here, always, if you can, please be sure to give a like, share, and subscribe. Ding notification bell so you don't miss any updates from future postings. Feel free to support the channel and also block them scanners. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so very much for joining. And until then, I'm going to leave you with this quote that I'm changing it to, because I'm kind of sick of the whole love and light stuff. Life is not always love and light. Sometimes it's shit. Sometimes it's difficult. But I created a Latin phrase, or at least researched a Latin phrase, which I think resonates with this channel a lot more. It's viam gevora ambulo, which means I walk the path of severity, bravery, strength, and courage. Thank you, and until next time.